Welcome to a 1 vs 1 on Anvilwood. Here we're having therxyy as Cloakybots and the Recon Commander against DanWarior with a Jumpbot Factory. Let's play. So therx sent in this replay and he wondered about what is the preferred factor on this map and how he's gonna fight Jumpbots. Personally, I usually go for Cloakybots on this map. I'd say pretty much every factory is viable on this map. Like there's some hills that you can abuse with bots. That's faster to traverse with bots, and yeah, this terrain can also be kind of abused by spiders. And there's a lot of like flatlands that you can use. In the middle. So it looks like both players are going for a pretty economic start. And yeah, you should probably go for an economic start on this map because there's a lot of mexes and there's also a lot of reclaim in the middle. Typically, like, yeah, you want to probably send out one con to reclaim or your commander to go here on reclaim. And then you probably want to expand on the side here with the commander or one or two cons. But yeah, to spend all this metal that you get from reclaim, you need a lot of like energy. So in this situation, like 3 glaives against a pyro, the glaives will win if they just can enter the range of the pyro alone. That's the thing, the pyro is actually have kind of a bad matchup against glaives. But it can also be supported by constables, like the constables will slow the glaives and make it easier for the pyro to kill off the glaives. So the pyro, it really wants to kill glaives one by one and then repair because it's hard to kill them. But if you can just go in like this with 3 against 1, yeah, you can keep up with the pyro, and even just 2 to 4 glaives can kill a pyro like that. However, they kind of have a worse matchup against the puppies. Like, that's the thing, you could see here that the slowed glaive, you were able to catch up to a slow glaive. The puppy is able to catch up to the slowed glaive, like this. So that's why puppies and constables, they do pretty well together against glaives. So let's see if they can escape. You can still overrun constables if there's not enough other units nearby. But yeah, that's the thing. The proper micro against puppies. Oh, nice there. You got the constable for just 1 glaive. That's the thing. You have to if a not slowed glaive just turns away from the puppy, it can still kite the puppy. But if you're running into the puppies, yeah, then you're gonna lose a glaive. And here we can see this is a pretty good surround. You have 2 glaives in range, 3 glaives in range. Yeah, just like that. With just 3 glaives range, you kill the pyro and just lose one glaive. So it's not much that the pyro can do. Even if it jumps, the glaives will still keep targeting the unit in the air, and it's not really much faster. So you can really run down pyros pretty easily with glaives, at least in the low numbers. So now in this situation, yeah, if you're just running away from the puppies, you're gonna be able to kite them like that. Yeah, you can kite the puppies with glaives. And economy-wise, yeah, it looks like you're accessing quite a bit of metal there. That's not too good. You really wanna make sure you have enough build power. You're reclaiming here, and yeah, you're not really spending your metal. You really have to keep track of that on this map. It's really easy to get a lot of metal because these mexes, they're pretty safe to take. If you expand with your commander, there's really hard to abuse the fact that you're expanding this with your commander. Like raiders can't really go around and make a lotus turret or 2 like that, and it's really hard to exploit. And you're choosing to go up here. I guess you're blind. You haven't really scouted this area. So 3 lotus turrets, yeah, with puppies reinforcing, it's real hard. Yeah, look there, you kited a puppy and you got a kill on a puppy without losing any glaive. So that's the thing. And then now you ran into the puppy and you lost the glaive. That's how the micro works basically. And yeah, basically kiting a puppy there, almost getting it, but then you turn against it and the puppy fires against it. That's the thing, if the glaive is moving into the puppy, yeah, it's gonna have a really easy time hitting the glaive. So you have to be really careful with if you turn against the puppy or not, if you wanna keep kiting it. But that's the thing, like a glaive costs 65 metal, and the puppy costs 45, so they're making 20 cost for each puppy. That's not a lot. Like say for example, if you just kill one puppy, then you can lose like if there's 4 puppies against 3 glaives and all of the puppies die and your glaives die, yeah, that's about an even trade. So yeah, it's not a huge deal. And let's see if this pyre can do good work. You kill like 2. Yeah. You're taking the losses and running into the if you can avoid the fire from the pyre, that's pretty good. And especially if the fire is in the air like this, yeah, then you're not even gonna take damage. So it can actually be disadvantageous to jump with the pyro. If the fire ends up in the air, then the glaze won't even. Could you have run this down? Yeah, you could probably have run this down if you were a bit on point before this Lotus turret got up. Like, it depended on the DanWarior. He just got a placeholder, so yeah. So it's really precise micro that you want to do with the glaives against puppies and pyros. Like, yeah, I think it's a right choice from DanWarior to rely on these puppies rather than going for pyros. Pyros, once you get a bit of more mass, yeah, pyros are decent against glaives. When you have like a line of pyros against a line of glaives, then you can basically, the pyros can kill the glaives one by one and then repair. So your expansion patterns here are interesting. It's hard to contest all of the map. Usually end up fighting against the map. There's a bit of a reclaim here, so yeah. And you have some glaives here. You might be able to run down up on this hill and get some good kills, but it's hard to know what is up there, if the enemy is sending units there or not, so it's quite a gamble. So yeah. If you look at how much metal did you access? 900, that's a bit. If you look at metal used, yeah. DanWarior was getting ahead quite a bit from that. So, and then you were kind of slow with taking these mixes, I guess. So yeah, that's the thing. But I still wouldn't say it's over. And this is the question at point. This is a point in the game where you ask yourself as Cloakerbots, do I stay on the glaives and try to raid and outmaneuver the moderators and pyros and try to quench your expansion? Like, this commander is pretty exposed if you're just spamming glaives. That's a thing. Like, you still have a lot of reclaim here. Do you really wanna try to port this center? Like, you're denying some reclaim to the enemy, but you're also fighting this position. And that's a thing. As soon as the enemy gets a firewalker out, it really changes the game pace. And it looks like DanWarior has queued up a firewalker in this situation. And now you're outmaneuvering. If you should know now that this is a commander. If you're sending all your glaives down here, yeah, then you should have a pretty easy kill on this commander, because it's so long. It's only protected by 2 Lotus turrets, and you can be sending all these glaives on this position. And that's the thing, you should be able to kill this pretty easily if you're paying attention, but you want to make sure you have enough units to kill it. So retreating here is a good choice. You lost a few glaives before you realize that, but yeah, this is an interesting map in this sense, because you can just give up some territory. You lose 1 mix, but you can retreat all the way to your base and make a Lotus turret. Yeah, and it looks like you're going for the commander kill. You gotta be careful here not to take too much damage from your commander. And are you just gonna be able to kill this commander? It's gonna be so close. Oh yes, barely. So that's kind of a big blow to you. You just had too few glaives there. Yeah, and you get killing this pretty efficiently, but you're running into the pyro fire and you're taking quite a bit of damage from that. Usually the pyro fire won't quite kill a glaive if it's on full health. Like, these 2 glaives didn't die. So yeah. So you had the right idea by trying to outmaneuver the pyro army, the jump bot army, and then trying to kill the commander. But you just get a little bit short, like one or two glaives there, and you would have been fine. And now you're losing the center, which is like, should you try to fight for the center with pork? Arguably not. If you can get some early like slings out, yeah, you can contest jump bots before they get a moderate or before they get a firewalker. So yeah. So if you look at the attrition here, it's still pretty even. Placeholders are decent. And Reavers, they're pretty problematic actually to deal for jump bots. Of course, moderators beat them hard. But for example, a combination of some Reavers and moderators, it's pretty hard to deal with for the jump bots. It depends on micro. If you can, like the moderators, if you can keep them out of range, if you can prevent them from being overrun by the glaives, then they can kill the Reavers. And now we have a follow-up, but the commander is almost fully healthy. Like, yeah, DanWarior was making a what do you call it? He was making a caretaker there, so he repaired it. So you paid how much? Yeah, you still got a commander, so that's pretty good. So yeah, but you still lost quite a few glaives there. So if you look at the total value here, yeah, the enemy has been pulling ahead quite far. And what is the mental production that they have been? Yeah, you've been accessing a little bit. Override, yeah, their overdrive is kicking in as well. This is a map where you can be fairly confident in keeping like raising your energy income and overdriving these mixes. It's pretty easy. It's a little bit riskier against jump outs to overdrive this area because pyros could come here and jump up. So it's a little bit more. It could be a little bit risky to go for a heavy energy economy without making any defense here. And the Jack here, I doubt is going to do much. You have a few Reavers. Glaive can struggle a bit with killing Jacks. They barely have enough range to outrange a Jack. So it can be a little hard to kill Jacks cost effectively without them retreating first to like defenses or other units. But Reavers are really good against Jacks. And here's an army of just pure moderators and placeholders. They should be easy to run down with glaives, but you don't quite have enough like glaives here to run them down. So that's the thing. Glaives can take you far. If the enemy is moving out of position like this, yeah, if you just get a good surround with like 12 glaives like this, yeah, you can run them over. But now you're coming piecemeal and you're making Ronins and Reavers. And yeah, that's just not going to be able to overrun these in time. So yeah, at this point, yeah, it looks like, yeah, DanWarior is also doing pretty well. Like, this is also a reclaim field that you could be taking. So DanWarior is doing pretty well at reclaiming. So your response on seeing, like, this is just almost pure placeholders. You can easily run them down. Easily with just pure glaives. So that's also a thing, like you have to be adaptive as a cloakybot player in what you're making. Sometimes you need to add some Reavers, sometimes you want to spam out pure glaives. And you can see the placeholders there, it makes it troublesome for the glaives to get us around, to run them down. But it's a lot of room on this map, you can just spread out like this with the glaives, and yeah, there's no other army that can really contend with this. It's a lot about maneuverability. If you're using glaives, and the jump player has to be really careful with how they're approaching the situation so they don't get surrounded by glaives. So if your response had just been more glaives in this situation and spreading out more so they didn't bunch up and you got held by the placeholders, yeah, you would have been able to overrun these in no time. And these are still really overrunnable. And this is when it's gonna get even harder for the cloakybot player. Is when the firewalker starts to hit the fan. In terms of dealing with the firewalker, that was a bit of gamble. Didn't really pay off. Looks like DanWarior is going for gunships. He making nimbuses and I mean, this is basically an artillery piece Nimbus. I don't like Nimbuses too much. They usually take too long to like pay off, in my opinion, and they can be countered by AA pretty easily, I think. But let's see how he uses it. Although at this point you're pretty far behind. Yeah. Like the attrition is pretty even. And yeah, DanWarior is really keeping up to his reclaiming. And you're running into this, you know there's pork here, quite a bit of pork. I guess you were hoping to kill the geothermal. But yeah, your attrition goes down the drain. Like, it can be hard to attack a position like this. So yeah. Now you're responding with some AA and just getting a few gremlins, like 3-4 should be able to force away a Nimbus. So yeah. Yeah, and DanWarior reacts and just retreats. Meanwhile you're trying to overrun this position, but it's not quite enough, and you don't have anything to deal with the Harpies, so Harpies are actually paying off for DanWarior. And you're finally managing to overrun these units. And yeah, and you have a thing, you said a thing about when you requested replay, that that jump bots units outclass cloaky bots. And it's kind of true in the sense that, like, puppies kind of counter glaives, but it still depends on the micro. On the other hand, puppies can't really raid. Like, you can be pretty safe against... like, a surprise pyro can be scary, but if you're just having radar, you should be able to intercept it with 3 or 4 glaives and force it away or even kill it. While puppies, on the other hand, like, they can't even make cost against a metal extractor. You need 2 puppies to kill a metal extractor, and the metal extractor costs 85 metal, so that's even less metal than the puppies cost. So puppies can't really raid, and pyro raids, yeah, you can be pretty safe with just your own glaives, and then your own glaives can turn into raiding the enemy. So yeah. And at this point you're kind of bleeding units, but you're so far behind now, so it's hard to say what you're doing right and what not. Ronins, they're against moderators, they don't do much. Is Ronins a good unit against... It's like they're gonna miss most of their shots while the moderators keep dancing. So yeah. You have a little more range with the pyros, like, yeah, 455 and against 420, but that's really slim margins. It's hard to actually try to abuse the range advantage that the Ronins have. So yeah, I got a hit there. The moderator was running straight for the commander. So our Ronin is good. They're decent against pyros because pyros are kind of slow. They can work against jacks. They can help against defense. So. Like, when should you get Ronins? Somewhat to help. You can use them somewhat to help against pyros, so the pyros get slowed down and can run down your units so fast, and they can help a bit against defenses. But a few slings probably do better in most of the cases if you just want to kill defense. But yeah, moderators are a problem if you can't run them down with glaze, then they're kind of hard to deal with. Getting a sniper? I mean, a sniper, it depends on the situation and how good the enemy is at screening their firewalker. Like if you get snipers, you can surprise enemies with your first snipers. And maybe you can maybe you can use the sniper to surprise. Like you're one-shotting the firewalkers, it really depends on how dense the like situation is. Like if the enemy is, that's a thing as well, if the enemy is not paying attention, maybe you can even like, if there's no units nearby, maybe you can get it with like 2 or 3 sites, which is a bit cheaper than that. But a sniper is a decent counter if the firewalker is exposed and you have line of sight to it by using a cloak unit. Yeah, you can counter a firewalker decently well with the sniper, with the phantom. Yeah, you get 1 firewalker there. And yeah, you're getting a lot of progress now because the enemy's going for a crowd. That's 4,500 metal, that's not on the field, so to speak. So yeah, the army value is actually getting fairly even now. How much reclaim is on the field? Yeah, a bit of reclaim. So yeah. And this is, will this amount of glaze be able to overrun if you can kill the pyro, maybe? Yeah, that's the thing, if the jump out player had the wrong unit combo, or not enough units, you can just overrun a position like this with just pure glaives. That's like, yeah. That's something that the jump out player always have. Like, glaives are good in this matchup. But you can, in one way you can say that glaives are outmatched by puppies, because puppies can keep even, but they can't raid on the other hand. So you can just, so while glaives on the other hands, they can raid and kite puppies if your micro is on point. But on the other hand, the puppy player can just retreat when the glaives start kiting. So it's a little, I'd still favor. It's still something that on a map like this, where it's hard to raid, well, I guess running uphill, if you're running uphill, the pyro can jump away, but if you're on flat ground, yeah, you can't really run it down. But on a map like this, where you can't really raid around the starting position like this, yeah, jump bots have a much easier time defending. And they can choose if they want to go for pyros or move out with moderators, or they spam puppies to counter cloak bot raiding. So yeah, like glaives are a big problem on other maps for if the map is more open for jump bot players. But I think you were mostly losing this to like economy. If you look at the metal produced, you're starting getting behind pretty early. And it was partially due to the reclaim. Like, DanWarior was pretty good on keeping up his reclaim. And he also, like, overdrive on this map is pretty good, as you can see here. Like, if we compare the metal produce, yeah, that's about, how much metal? 8,500 metal, so yeah, most of that was from the overdrive, actually. And a bit from, so yeah, you probably even had more metal income from just pure mixes than he did, but the metal reclaim and overdrive really paid off for DanWarior in the end. So yeah, it's a thing. It's pretty easy, especially it's a little harder, as I said. If the enemy is spider or jump bots, it's a little bit more risky to go for early what do you call it, early like overdrive. But this little hill here is good for wind generators. And then you can just connect a line of winds or solars here. And yeah, that's a decent way to overdrive on this map. It gives you a good boosted income on this map. And you never really did that on this map. So even if the enemy is jump bots, they can jump a few like pyros over here. This is still an hard area to get later in the game, like mid game. Like you're going here, you're gonna be able to be surrounded by glaives from both sides, and that's really risky. So yeah. So most of this game came down to like a macro loss. You didn't overdrive and you didn't reclaim enough. Otherwise, if you look at the value kids, yeah, you were doing pretty evenly throughout the game. Um, um, so yeah. Like if a jump out player goes too far ahead, you can surround them with glaives and just overrun a cloakybot player if their army is smaller. And and then you should also consider like cloaked units, like getting cloaked reavers or cloaked Zeus to like get in close to the firewalker and then overrunning with glaives. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do at cloakybots. If there's a lot of pyros and they're clumped up and they're moving across the map, you can place a few ticks. Yeah, I think it's an even matchup, so there's a lot you can do as cloakybot, even though you're kinda outmatched. Like if the enemy gets a firewalker, it's hard to deal with. Like you have to be sneaky or go for a switch, and they can usually protect the firewalker against air by placing some puppies and moderators around it. So, but if they're not reacting well and you get air and you're bombing their firewalkers because they're alone, or if you're just overrunning the firewalker because it's overexposed with just glaives, or if you're making it through sites and the firewalkers is far away from other units like moderators. Moderators are really good at defending from like cloaked units and like warriors and knights and such. So they can be a troublesome line unit to deal with in a line when they're protected by lotus turrets and pyros and puppies. Um, while yeah, so then you might want to go for a factor switch once that it reaches that point when the enemy has moderators and a battle line across the map, and there's like 1 or 2 or 3 firewalkers. You might consider a switch for something else. What do you switch into? It's not too easy. But I would really, yeah. And yeah. Also, a big thing was that when the enemy was pushing here with almost pure moderators, it was like 5 moderators, 2 placeholders, and a pyro, and you were making warriors and ronins, and that was just the worst counter you could make. Is that you see a lot of like units moving across the map too far? Yeah, you just switch your factory production to glaives. You send out the group here when the enemy's like here, and you send out the group there. And if they don't retreat in time, retreat back to the defenses here, then you just spread them out on a line like this and go in and overrun them. And the placeholders, they will only catch a few glaives. And the moderators, they can only kill 1 glaive each. The pyro, you should try to target focus the pyro if you can, because if you kill the pyro, the moderator is just going to be reloading, the placeholders are just going to be reloading, and you kill the army with very cost effectively. So yeah, that's also a thing. You like the cloaky bot generally want to be goes forward steady with like moderators, pyros, puppies, and adding firewalkers, and then it's really hard to counter for the cloaky bot player. But if they're overexposing themselves, they can easily be overrun by glaives, or you can even make a cloaked group and move here. That's also a thing. This map is also really open in the middle, so cloaked groups do well as well, like cloaked reavers, cloaked cells, maybe cloaking a tick, placing a few ticks here and there, and then if a group of moderators or pyros go into the glaive, yeah, you can punch them, and so yeah, you can if the Jampot player is conservative, it's hard to get them because their units kind of outclass you. But if they're overexposed and move too far, you can really punish them with glaives or cloaked units or ticks and stuff like that. Or even phantoms, like if the firewalker is overexposed, yeah, you can punish it with a phantom. So good luck and have fun.